Look at me centered. Kind of centered. There we go. All right. Just give a second to check that this is working. Awesome. So when you get here, please comment with an emoji or a hi and let me know you're here. It's going to refresh this page. And then also, if you're watching this later, do hashtag replay and then whatever other comments that you have, so I know that you watched it later. Awesome. Awesome. I think we're ready to rock and roll. Looks like everything's running. I'm so excited for today. Mary Magdalene is so close to my heart, and I've gone on an amazing journey with her as a mentor and guide. And so I'm really looking forward to sharing some of the magic with you. So this is a Mary Magdalene activation to amplify your holy sensuality. And this is pretty perfect because the next 3 days in this group, we're doing a sacred sexuality challenge. So my invitation to you is to invite Mary Magdalene as your guide and mentor for this whole week during the challenge and see what comes from that connection with her and what she reveals to you. Do I have sound? Make sure that I have sound. Ooh, it says my sound is up. All right, can you hear me? Please let me know in the chat if you can hear me. Ooh. Let's see. Testing. Ooh. All right, well, I have sound now, so good, awesome. Hopefully caught the first part. So most of you know, my name is Neve, and I guide women to step into their divine feminine frequency. I have a 9-month initiation and certification to activate your Shakti creatrix power, unleash your voice, and become a recognized leader and healer in the ancient wisdom of Ayurveda, spirituality, and sacred sexuality. This is basically a modern priestess transformational journey, and it's my honor to be doing this powerful work. And I'm starting the group in September, so now is the time to join us if you would like to. Okay. So when did I first come across Mary Magdalene? When did she first start speaking to me? I would think it was 2014 or 2015, maybe. And Mary Magdalene was trained in the priestess, school, in a mystery school. It's the sex magic of Isis or Osset in that lineage. So we did Isis initiation, unveiling the mysteries of Isis / Osset a couple weeks ago, about a month ago. And so this is in the same lineage. This is, Mary Magdalene was in that lineage. She learned from those priestesses, and some of the personal downloads and visions and things that I've received are really magical. And it's, if you just step into the energy of being with other women who support and love each other and are doing spiritual and magic practices to enhance their own vibration, but also the vibration of the planet with unconditional love and unity and peace, like all the stuff that we really care about, right? It's a pretty amazing vision. So let's welcome her energetically into this space now and ask for her guidance for this activation. So I'll hold up this card. This is one depiction of her. She really is the Black Madonna as well. She wasn't a white woman, but that's colonialism for you. This is, I am the bridge between heaven and earth. I am fully human and fully divine. And you can say that. I am the bridge between heaven and earth. I am fully human and fully divine. Another image that I like, because based on what I feel and what resonates with me, is this picture of her and Yeshua. Need to clean the frame. Again, they weren't white, but you know, like I said, colonialism, right? So I don't really think of them as white, but I still like that picture to help connect with the energy. Okay, so if you wanted to right now, this would be a great time to light a candle, to say a little prayer, to burn some incense, and to take this activation seriously and really invite her into the space. Oh, good. So go. Thank you for commenting. I hope you can hear me well. Let me know if you cannot. Yay. Awesome. Thanks for letting me know you're here. Please, it's so much more juicy and divine feminine as a exchange of energy and connection. So please comment. I welcome any comments or thoughts or questions. Okay. So I have a little candle lit over here. I don't have any incense burning, but I'm gonna smell my braided sweetgrass. Oh, good. I'm glad you can hear me. Okay. So one of the most amazing things that I first learned about Mary Magdalene was that it's from this book. This is my favorite book. I'm sure I've shared it a million times. It's The Sex Magic of Isis, and it's all about Mary Magdalene and her relationship with Yeshua and how their sexual practices expanded their ka bodies. So that would be Egyptian sex lineage, not Tantra. Similar though, but expanded their ka bodies or their energetic bodies in order to do miracles. And in other books I've read that she also was a healer and doing miracles. And it's pretty amazing because in 2012, that was when the planetary light grid shifted to have the divine feminine rising. And since then, there has been tons of books that have been channeled, Mary Magdalene channelings about her real story, about the truth of her as Yeshua's partner, as a psychic, intuitive, magical healer from this lineage, and not a whore, right? And so her energy is super, super strong, super powerful on the planet right now. You can go on adventures in the south of France to where she was after the crucifixion, right after she lost her beloved in this realm. She didn't really lose him. But yeah, so it's pretty magical, Mary Magdalene's energy, and it's very powerful and more easily tapped into, I think, than a lot of the other ascended feminine Christ masters. So yeah, I'm stoked about that. Okay, so let's talk about shame a little bit, because this activation is to release some shame. So we've been called whores or labeled evil for being intuitive, tapped into our sexual nature, psychic, and medicine women. And this has been purposeful to separate us from our feminine power. And if you think about the patriarchy and society and all of this stuff was happening several hundred years, maybe longer, before Christ, where women were then put as not as important to a man. When God, instead of being a woman, whether it was Mother Earth or just the divine feminine Sophia goddess, to white male God, right? So in that time, with that shift, women's rights were taken away. We were seen as less than, we were seen as cattle, and we still hold some of that in us that needs to be healed and released. And the shame for being sexual is ridiculous. I mean, it's kind of funny that men can just sleep with whoever they want or as many women as they want, and somehow it taints us so that we're like bad or not good if we sleep with a bunch of men. That's totally not fair, and it does cause shame. And shame is an important thing to start to look at and heal, and there's layers of it. So I wanted to just mention that a little bit, because it's coming from, the church was very much linked with patriarchy, and then later colonialism. So it's very toxic, some of these societal things that are like running in the background. And it's time for us to speak about them, which is why I'm sharing, and release the shame. The divine feminine is rising now. It has been, and it's time. It is time to release shame. So you can just say, I release shame. But I am going to do another activation in a minute. Another thing I wanted to talk about, though, is sexual energy. So yes, I believe if a woman wants to have sex with whoever, or however many people she wants, she should not be persecuted for that, like the way that men are not persecuted for that. However, caveat, side note, sexual energy is sacred spiritual energy. So when you have sex with someone, you are energetically exchanging with them. It's like the most intimate and close you can be with someone. And so you need to have really good standards with who you sleep with. One thing I say with one of my friends is, we only want men who are willing to worship at the altar of our bodies. Okay, so just think about that shift from whatever in your past or even currently, the way that men treat you, like the energy around it, and then shifting it. This is your self-worth and your boundaries and your self-respect. So you can shift it and just be like, no, I only allow men that are willing to worship at the altar of my body. Okay. And there are men like that, and they will. I know from personal experience. And it's just a shift. It's literally, it happens within you. And it's important because say that you're having sex with someone and he's like not really honoring you the way that you want to be honored, and the communication isn't quite there. And it's like, then you have sex with him and maybe he's negative sometimes or insecure. Well, you're exchanging energy with them. So you're starting to pick up some of that energy, some of their thoughts, some of their emotions. And it's really important to do clearing practices, energetic practices. I do them now before and after sex, just because like I'm so in my awesome, amplified, expansive space that like, even if I love my partner and I make love with him, like, I don't know exactly what he's carrying. And so I do rituals to like cleanse and clear before and after. It's also like you can call back your energy and become whole, like instantaneously right now. But you can also do a longer meditation. It's something that I have in the Divine Feminine Initiation, is this ritual where you call back all of your energy and become whole. And this is something that's really great to do over and over. I mean, you are whole, and there's cords and there's connections, right? You know how if you sleep with someone, then you might dream about them more than like just your regular friends that you're not sleeping with or intimate with. Like it matters. Like we are holistic, mind, body, spirit. It's all connected. Let me just check the comments. Any comments here? Okay. Yeah, please jump in. Like this is like one of my favorite topics, and it matters so much, and not enough people are talking about it, in my opinion. So I would love to go back and forth if you have any questions or comments about this. Okay, so sexual energy, really powerful. When we tap into it ourselves, which we're going to be doing this week, you're going to feel that amplification of your divine feminine energy and your sexual power. If you do the challenge, right? If you do the things. I had so much fun. I'm almost ready to share the workbook with you all. I'll share it later today. But I'm so excited for it. Okay, so sister wound. That's another thing I put in here. It's really, for Mary Magdalene, it's really more of the witch wound, which I was talking about earlier. And I'll talk about it. It's in the workbook. We'll talk about it more this week. But that persecution. But I do want to talk about the sister wound because this is also just so important to me. So it comes from, again, patriarchal systems, our society. So women have been put against each other in order to secure a man that's going to save us, take care of us, give us rights, give us a place in society, right? This is the outdated old energy stuff. And this, so we started the sister wound. If you're gonna, let me just define it a little bit better, because we have probably all experienced it. I think I talked about it on my last masterclass too, because it's so important. Let me just move that. So it's kind of like, as far as where it's stored and where it's coming from, think about during the witch hunts, when it was like, were you doing this thing? And it's like, I'm not a witch, she's a witch, right? And so it was like that, pushing it onto another woman. And so betrayal is a sister wound, lack of trust, mistrust, not able to trust yourself, comparison, right? That's where the patriarchal, even American dream kind of thing. It's like, you got to find your dude and he's going to take care of you and give you rights and have your house. And so we got to be like prettier than each other or better than each other, like all of that low vibrational BS, comparison, bitchy, catty, not attributing other women's work. If you notice when I do these lives, like I very often mention, oh, I learned this from so-and-so or this from so-and-so, right? Just that nurturing that divine feminine and releasing any sister wounding. And you have the sister wound if you don't really have any good girlfriends. If you like only hang out with dudes, then you have healing to do in the sister wound. So for me, like when I first was really hurt in high school, by my two best friends writing the evil letter about me to each other and then giving it to me, like that really hurt. And I only had guy friends for years because I just couldn't trust women. I didn't feel like I could trust women. And I didn't feel like I was being nurtured the way I wanted to from my mother. So I had this mother wound going on. I had the sister wound. The stuff is really, and it's subtle. It's like unconsciously affecting our choices and our decisions and our behaviors until we look at it and say, oh, wow, you're right. I am holding a mother wound, or I am holding the sister wound, or I'm still feeling unsafe around women or uneasy in social situations. So there's lots of powerful women, or, and it's important to look at that. So it's, fear of being blamed or being rejected, fear of being rejected. So being too much, being too expansive, being too beautiful, not being, the sister wound all stops us from not being able to collaborate with women. And I've had some amazing collaborations recently, and it's so powerful when we come together as women, because there's things that even on social media, I'm trying to talk about all the things like slowly and surely. But perimenopause, a lot of women don't talk about that. It's a pretty rough time for a lot of women, and like sleep is off, hormones are off, diet, like the food, everything is like wacky. And when we come together and talk about it, we can support each other and share gems and like collaborate and get through it. And men don't have any like point of reference because they don't go through these different cycles. And why do we go through these cycles? Why do we get our period, right? Why do we have perimenopause and menopause? Well, because we're divine feminine goddesses that can create life. It's magical. And I personally think a lot of the patriarchal stuff and church stuff comes from men being scared of how powerful and psychic and amazing women are. And so then they're like, oh, let's just throw them under the bus. Anyway, a little bit of a rant, but the stuff is important to talk about. So women need to support each other because our society is against us still. It's getting better. But when we come together and can commune, it doesn't have to be about our hormones. It could be about anything. But there's so much power, and there's so much power from when we come together and share these things and support each other. So no more of that competitive, catty, throwing each other on the bus. Oh, she did, no, none of that energy. And if you have friends with that energy, start to put up some boundaries. I think one of the first things that I did that I stuck to that really made a difference was just not being willing to speak negatively about anyone to anyone. Now, I will share things with my partner, like we'll discuss things after a social event or whatever, but we're not being like, we're in our heart space. We're not being mean or judging. We're observing and commenting, and it's only in like my close relationship. So like socially, I'm not going to speak ill of someone, you know, and sometimes women unconsciously kind of try to trap each other. Like, oh, so-and-so this, so-and-so does that, or I don't like this about so-and-so. And I will stand in my power and be like, that person's my friend. I'm not really comfortable talking about this, or I'll walk away. And by setting those boundaries, women gossip around me less and less. It's great. It's like, I don't have time for that vibration. Like judgment is low vibrational. Right. So, and that helps with this sister wound healing when we just don't participate in gossip or negative talk about other people. Really powerful. So that was one of my tips. It's just like, set that boundary for yourself. Like, nope, not willing to do that. Because if you don't talk about it, even if you're thinking it, you start thinking about it less too. So if you're still in a place of judgment, which means you're still judging yourself, right? Okay, let's be very clear, right? So if you're judging others, it means there's space for you to love yourself more still, right? Judgment is your inability to see how everything is here to help you. So, all right, what else did I want to say about Mary Magdalene? Oh yeah. Cool. I think I got most of it. So we're going to do an activation. I invite you to repeat after me or feel it. You can feel it in your body. Let me just check the comments real quick before we do that. Any other comments? I'm just going to refresh this page because I don't see any, but hopefully this is landing for some of you, speaking to something, resonating in some way before we do that. Okay, cool. No comments? Okay. All right, so sister wound, if you know you've experienced it or you're healing the sister wound, I'd love to hear that in the chat. If you've had shame and you're releasing a layer of shame during this activation, or guilt or fear, I would love a comment about that if that resonated, or even the piece about sex and sharing your energy with someone who maybe isn't honoring you the way that you want to be or treating you the way that you want to be, and taking that energy in. So if you have the intention to call back your energy from someone sexually, or to up your standards or boundaries with your body and your intimacy, I would love to hear that in the chat too. So any of those comments would be super welcomed. And it's good. It's an important thing for you to step into your power, even though it's just a comment in a private group, but to say like, yes, I release shame, or yes, I release fear, or I'm stepping into a more powerful place and boundaries with my self-worth and who I'm sleeping with, and sharing my sacred spiritual creative energy with. Or I'm going to start creating a ritual, so after I have sex, I like energetically cleanse myself. I mean, any of those things. If any of those things landed, I would love to hear it. And if you're watching this later, please let me know, because it's important stuff, and I love sharing about it and shifting things for myself, and yeah, hopefully inspiring you too. Okay, so you can listen. I'll try to say it a little bit slow so that you can, I'm gonna move this mic away a little bit. There we go. I'll say it slow so you can repeat after me if that's what's resonating for you right now, or you can just close your eyes and listen. I highly recommend you saying it out loud though. Fuck yes to myself. I love my body. I love your body. My voice blesses others. Yes to my creatrix pussy. Dear creator, source of energy, and all that is, love, divine, please help me to release with grace all cords, vows, contracts, resentments, and fears of others. I release with grace, shame, fear, guilt. I release with grace and love the sister wound. Please clear every cell with love and set me free from all entanglements from the past, present, and future. I now send everyone love. I come home to my divine, feminine, magical love, abundance, radiance, presence, and faith. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is done. So Mary Magdalene is a great, well, I just feel like I need to take another breath. Hold on. Fuck yes to my creatrix pussy. Yeah. Say yes. I love my body. All right. Whew. Good stuff. Hi, Lane. Thanks for saying hi. All right. So I would love to hear too, Mary Magdalene. Elaine, if you want to comment about your Mary Magdalene book in the chat, I'm sure that would bless others, because that sounded like a really cool book. There's so many amazing ones now. I think I've read like 4 or 5 at this point. Okay, so Mary Magdalene is really great mentor and guide, and she's especially drawn to working with men and women who seek to radically embody every facet of their true selves without apology, which is kind of why we did the activation that we did. So she helps you get acclimated with asserting your personal power and your spiritual leadership, and how to remain in integrity with yourself and your divine purpose, regardless of all circumstances. So if that resonates, she's an amazing guide for that. And it's really interesting, how easy and quick and amazing it is to expand and activate now on the planet right now. Like, the neurological biofeedback of our body is extraordinary. Like, if we think negative things, like, we're already feeling it and it's blocking our energy. And if we start to think positive thoughts about ourselves, we open up and expand in our heart space. And this emotional feedback creates the magnetism towards what we want, and a release of what no longer serves us. So pretty amazing. Oh, it's Mary, not Mary Magdalene. So Mother Mary. Nice. So I still think you should share it. I love Mother Mary. I mean, if you want to share the name of the book, because it looked cool. Yeah, so this is a great question, Soko. How would you energetically cleanse after intimacy? Cut cords. So what I have been doing is the energy swipes that we did on retreat. Like, after I have sex, I'm just like, okay, sweep down. And then I do like some saw breaths. Whew, I love these swipes. I've been doing these swipes a lot in public too, just saying. But I'm doing that. I'm doing an energy swipe and then doing some saw breaths, or I might do the living ankh again, because the living ankh is really quick. It's like a minute and it's so powerful. And I shared that in another video, but just let me know if you want to watch it, or I'll find the link. But yeah, that's a great question, because it's it's pretty amazing how much we absorb energetically from those people that we're in a physical space with. So like I was saying, Mary Magdalene is great if you're really serious about connecting with your true self, asserting personal power, spiritual leadership, divine purpose. She's a really great mentor for all of those things. So let me just check comments. Cool. Yeah, awesome. So hopefully, I trust that this activation blessed you. If you haven't really connected with Mary Magdalene, I strongly suggest it, especially if you have felt persecuted for being powerful, sexual, spiritual, any type of persecution. She's very nurturing for that, releasing that energy. Just amazing. And it is time. It's time to love your body and embody the bold, wild woman within you. It's time to feel freedom in your sexuality with the divine feminine rising. And if you know you're not as confident in your divine feminine energy as you desire, I have a special gift for you, because you can book a call with me and I will help you analyze your frequency and help you uncover your blocks so you can tap into your spiritual and sexual essence in a whole new way. So if on the call during our heart-to-heart chat, we will create a roadmap using my divine feminine method for how to nurture yourself, to love your sexuality and your body, and to increase divine feminine power within you. I love having these conversations. They're amazing. And it's really interesting how you have these ideas about like, well, I think I need to do this with my divine feminine energy, or like, I think this is my sexual block. And just by sharing it with someone in a safe, sacred space, like the blocks they just come up. They get uncovered so easily and quickly because you're in that container of the call. So I'll put the link in the chat, or I have the link in the above the video. So you can click on that if you'd like to have a conversation. And yeah, super powerful. I'm super excited. We have a couple ladies all ready to go for the divine feminine initiation. And if you feel the call, just book a chat with me and we can talk about it and see if it resonates for you. And if nothing else, we can uncover some of those things that might be blocking you or subconsciously running your decisions or your thoughts or things in the background. So I love you all. Thank you for sharing this time and space with me. Let me look at this comment. In the group I was with, spoke of releasing energy of others when we sleep in a bed that's not ours. Yeah, that's been an interesting one for me. So I have mentioned to my partner that I would prefer to have my own bed. Like I was thinking I could just put it right back behind me, because this is I don't really like to call it an office. I call it my studio. And I don't work, I create. But I was thinking, well, I've got my altar, I've got my bowls, I've got all my sacred stuff. Like what a great space to sleep in. Like I could sleep right there. And he was a little offended. So we're working on it, because I've been waking up and doing living ankh and the energy swipes because I am so sensitive. I know I'm absorbing his energy. Luckily, he's got awesome energy and he's super heart-centered dude, super divine masculine. So that's good. And I'm like, well, I'm tempted to test that out, sleeping in a different room and seeing how I feel energetically. Not all the time, but sometimes. So I'll let you know how that evolution goes, because it's been something I've been thinking about. If you get into human design, in human design, they talk about projectors. I'm a projector, because my crown is open, right? I'm receiving everyone's energy and thoughts, right? That's where the psychic abilities come in, right? I'm receiving. And then in my root chakra is open. This is human design. So with the root open, it means like if I'm around people and they're like, let's go do this thing, I'm like, oh yeah, let's go do the thing, right? So as I've matured, right, as I've gotten out of my early 30s, wink, wink, we were talking about that the other day, and really learned about where my energy is and where other people's is and how to hold that energetic boundary, it does make me curious about sleeping, because I'm more aware of how sensitive and what I'm absorbing. And luckily now I have the discernment to tell what's mine and what's someone else's, right? But that's a huge part of the divine feminine initiation. That's something we're going to be talking about a lot, is how do you stay completely heart open? I think that you're really good at this, Elaine, personally. I'm so glad you're one of the mentors for this group. But how do you keep your heart so open and then energetically this is my line. I don't participate in gossip. I don't have sex with men that are going to use me or treat me poorly. I don't, whatever, those are not my thoughts. Those are your thoughts. I went to something last night. I went to a concert last night. I was gonna say something that was really crowded, but it was a concert in a stadium and there were so many people. And as soon as I walked in, it was like, and I could feel it. It was like it was like the energy of everyone was like bouncing against my field. And I was like, wow, this is fascinating. So anyway, Mary Magdalene is great for all of that. Creating the boundaries, right? Stepping into your personal power, your leadership and your purpose. So hopefully this was very, not hopefully, I know that parts of this landed in your heart. So I would love to hear what part resonated with you in the chat. And thank you so much, ladies, for being here. I'm excited for this sacred sexuality challenge this week. It's going to be so fun. So I'll share the workbook in a little bit later today. Definitely by tomorrow, but probably later tonight because I need to make a few edits. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Mary Magdalene.